Okay, so hello and welcome to today's video. So I'm currently parked up in my usual spot. I feel like I found a really nice place to just sit down and talk with you guys whilst we unravel some of the things that have been on my mind recently and some of the things that I've been learning along my journey of self-discovery and self-creation. Because more often than not, it's the fact that we can create our own lives for ourselves through this process of trying and exploring new things. So simple things like, for example, today I've switched where my camera is and I'm just playing with life, to be honest, because when we stick to one rigid way of doing things, it keeps us in this energy of doing things the same way. And if we're not happy with how our lives are, or we feel like we're missing that sense of excitement, sometimes we just need a bit of spontaneity and we need change. And change can be a beautiful thing, it can be a very transformative thing for us, but naturally our minds want to resort to what's safe, what's known, what's comfortable, because the ego and our minds, it loves a sense of comfortability, and it finds that in the routines, it finds that in the structure of how we've always done a certain thing. So if you're looking to upgrade your life, or you're looking to change something in your life, it starts with this idea of being comfortable with change. And naturally, like I say, change is not something we are comfortable with, so we have to learn to condition ourselves to become comfortable with it, so that when change does come, when we are able to then implement change into our lives, it's not gonna feel as scary, or it's not gonna be so off-putting that we never do it. And that's not to say that we get to this place where we never fear anything, or that we're completely open to change, because change can be scary, and it's okay to feel that fear. It's okay to feel them feelings of being scared but yet doing it anyway, regardless of how you feel, because on the other side of change, often that's where we see massive transformation happen in our lives. So with that, we're going to be talking a little bit about change and how you can implement that into your lives in a way where you can create the long-lasting changes that you want to create for yourself, because it is possible. Those who dare to believe it can be done will be the ones that do it, quite simply. If we think about all these great leaders and pioneers that once their idea existed as just a thought in their minds, before they created it, such as Einstein, for example, before he developed his theory of relativity, he had to go through this process of learning and exploring, trying all these different methods in order to get him to the conclusion that he eventually got to. He had to go through this trial and error of not knowing which way he needed to go, but knowing that he had that vision. He held that vision in his mind, and so he was able to get to that place he wanted to go. And so it's not about knowing the steps that it's going to take to get you there, because once you get the ball rolling, once you take one action, it can then lead to another action, which then has this ripple effect to where it creates this momentum where doors can open up for us. But we have to be the one to knock on that door, okay? We have to be the one to open the first door and be willing to go down into the other doors that then can become accessible for us. So in a way, you do have to surrender to the journey, because our minds cannot see so far ahead to where we see every little step play out, and we see every little small thing that we need to do to get to where it is that we're going. But if we have the vision, if we hold that in our focus, in our minds, then it doesn't matter about the journey, because how we perceive the journey is often we don't see the full picture. What you think is taking you away from the journey, taking you away from the end goal, can actually be the thing that's serving as a catalyst to push you towards that thing. And we can think of this in terms of relationships, whether romantic relationships, for example. You might split up with someone, or things don't work out the way you thought or hoped they would, but that change, that perceived ending, can actually be the thing that fuels you into the path that will help you to go to where you want to be. And whether that's you want to find true love, sometimes we have to go through these hurdles and these different stages to where we can refine and we can become this version of ourselves that is aligned with those things. Because people will come and go, people will fall away, and it's important to feel those emotions that come up when these things do happen, and in that allow yourself to transform with that. Don't stay stuck in this state of attachment to where you think that you need this thing or this person in order to be happy or to provide you with what it is that you want. And sometimes that can be a really hard pill to swallow, because we're human beings, I think deep down we all want to feel love, we all want to feel safe, we all want to feel happy. And the issue is that sometimes we place these on certain people or certain things, and when that thing or when that person, situationship, relationship, when it doesn't work out, that can be very disheartening. And like I say, it's okay to feel those emotions when they come up, that heartbreak, that heartache, but it's more often than not, it's our attachment to that in the first place. It was never that thing was going to give you what you were seeking for, because you had to find that within yourself. You have to create the feelings that you want within yourself first, and then the universe has no option but to mirror that to you. And it's making me think about one of Neil Goddard's speeches, where he talks about this idea of the mirror. You cannot wait for the mirror, for what you look at in the reflection, to smile before you smile. It's no good frowning whilst looking in the mirror and expecting that the reflection is going to smile back at you, because it's not, it's going to frown. So we need to bring it back to our internal state first. We need to smile, or we need to feel the feelings of happiness, joy, abundance, before the world can then reflect that back to us. Because that's all our external reality is. It's a reflection of our current state of awareness, our current state of being. And so when you align yourself first, the universe has no other option than to cater itself to you. Okay, so when we start treating it like that, we can play it like a game. Like, I want you to start testing this out for yourself, because the more that you can confirm this to yourself, to your being, to your ego, whatever it is, the more that you can validate this for yourself and say that you put a level of trust, you put a level of faith, the universe is going to start mirroring that back, and that's going to help confirm the things that we're already creating, or the things that we know deep down. Yeah. So you got this, and don't be disheartened if these things don't instantly show up, because sometimes it can take a bit of time for the seeds to grow and the roots to sprout. We need to allow that process the time and the shifts that need to happen. You know, it's like this idea of a gardener. The gardener trusts that when he plants a tree seed into the ground, he trusts that it's going to grow a tree, but he doesn't go digging it up every 5 seconds and says, you know, well, where's this tree then? He knows that there's a natural process for these things to occur, and you need to also put that same level of trust into whatever it is that you're planting, and know that you've planted for that specific thing. So going back to that idea of a farmer planting a tree, he knows that what he's planted is not going to produce melons. You know, it's not going to produce apple tree unless he's planted an apple tree. So being specific is also going to really help you with identifying and knowing exactly what it is you're creating. But you cannot keep digging up the seed to check if it's growing, because you're just going to keep delaying the process, because that ultimately says to the universe, I don't trust you, I need validation now, I need instant gratification now. And you're going to keep beating that drum and creating this internal resistance to the point the universe cannot deliver it for you, because you keep digging up the seeds. You need to let the seed grow. Let whatever it is that you're creating, let it go and let it grow, okay? I love that. Let it go and let it grow. And this is what we need to do for our lives. And I say that with a level of authority, because so many of us, including myself, we go through this process of wanting different things or trying to create these different things for ourselves. But we, as a generation, sometimes we can be very, very impatient, and it's almost like in our minds, in our egos, we say, well, I don't see the physical results, so it must not be happening. That's not true unless you keep saying it's true, unless you keep digging that up to check if it's there. That's you confirming to the universe, hey, look, I haven't got this thing right now, rather than taking a step back and saying, I know what I've planted, and so I'm going to let you show me. Whenever that time is, I'm going to let you show me, and I'm going to keep doing the things that I know I need to do to be in vibrational frequency with that thing when it comes about. Okay? So we can also think of this in terms of becoming more abundant, being more abundant in your life. You need to trust that what you're doing, the steps you're taking, are helping to get you to that place that you're going, without the need to look to your external reality and say, well, you know, I don't see that $5,000 in my bank, I don't see whatever it is. You need to, whenever you look at your bank account, for example, you need to detach from the fact that just because you can't see it with your physical eyes doesn't mean that it's not happening. There's so much that goes on below the surface that we can't see, and we need to trust in that. So whenever you find yourself in that moment where, using the example of the bank, you look at your bank account and all these feelings come up of, oh, well, it's not here yet, so it must means it's not happening for me. Be aware of that, because more often than not, that's what's limiting and preventing the process from happening where abundance can come into your life. If you fully know, and this goes beyond belief, because knowing is this conviction, this full faith that I know for sure that this thing is going to happen for me, that I am abundant, and that I can do amazing things, I can have healthy relationships. If you stand in that conviction of knowing, the universe has no other option than to adjust to that state of knowing. It's like this idea of when we turn a light switch on, we know with full faith that a light's going to come on. We don't even think about it, we just know that it's going to happen. And so we need to go into this with a level of faith and conviction that says, I know for sure that this is going to happen regardless of what the external says. So Thank you, and let me know if you try this out, and give it time, guys. I'm not saying this has to be months and months, but the more you integrate this and internalize this into your being, and you put that trust in without needing to dig up and search for the external validation, the more the universe has no other choice but to deliver that to you, because you close the gap between you and your desired reality. If you create that in the now, you completely collapse that gap to where it already exists. Rather than placing it on a future event, you bring it into the now, and that is powerful. Okay, thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.